I'll try not to be like that CNN guy and fucking start cranking one off in front of you. Let he who is without sin, right? Come on, who hasn't?
I mean,
Who hasn't?
sometimes, you're thinking about jerking off on your Zoom call and you just can't wait.
Well, that's why I learned that little trick. You put the little piece of tape up over the camera, and then Bezos can't watch you crank one out furiously to sick porn.
Oh, boy. All right. Well, let's just dive right in here.
Yeah, let's go. Are you ready? Hold on.
Yep.
We have music. Roll the music.
Is it playing now? In the background?
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
All right. All right, boys. Welcome back. The draft is done. The lineups are in. We have football tomorrow, or probably tonight by the time you watch this.
Season 4.
Yep.
Dynasty League.
Hard to believe. But welcome back. Have a great year.
Another year.
All right, boys. Well, we wanted to get something out here real quick. Actually, it's a very interesting breakdown of the teams, but we're just going to give a quick rundown of kind of, the power rankings 1 through 12, how we see them, and go through the week 1 matchups real quick, and let the season start. So, feels good to be back. Feels good to be picking games again. I'm real excited for this first game. So, without further ado, let me share my screen here.
There we go. And we'll get the Big Cat rankings up there. Big Cat, I don't know about you, but when I was doing these rankings, this felt like, I feel like this is how like sports writers feel when they rank college football at the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. Because I was just basically like, well, this guy has a chance. These guys have a chance. These guys have a chance. These guys have a chance. And then just there's everybody else.
Yeah.
So
there's a pretty clear dividing line. In my opinion, it was really hard between like 6 through 10, 11, honestly. But I gave it a shot, the best that I could. So I'm just going to run through my list here, run through 1 through 12. These are the football guy rankings that we'll send out. If you're wondering what those are, pull it up here real quick. Basically, we'll send this out. It actually gives a nice breakdown of everyone's teams and ranks them. So I included those. And then there's like the weekly average and kind of what they think everyone will do. And so, mine's going to be pretty close to this. So we'll start at the bottom.
There's a little bit of confirmation bias here for the Big Cat, but that's all right. We're willing to fight through it.
I have to come up with something interesting to talk about, Dave. If you just want me to talk about how great my team is for 30 minutes, I'm willing to do it.
I'm sure we're going to get a ton of views for that. So why don't you just...
That's a good reminder to drop a like on it if you like what you see. Right. And don't forget to subscribe.
And ring the bell. Hit the bell for notifications.
Yep. So, I think this is pretty clear indication of kind of 6 through 12, honestly. Actually, I'm going to stop being nice for a second. Mapletron's team is definitely the worst. They have, I would say, the worst keepers coming into this for this next upcoming season, especially when you kind of compare it to the top, because I think there's 2 teams pretty clearly at the top as well. So
let me ask you a real quick question just for clarity, because there's different ways to look at this. Is this your 2022 rank here, or is this your 2022 and beyond rank? Like, what did you take into account? How did you weigh your rankings here?
Yep, just for this year.
Okay.
Yep. So, this is how I think, this year is going to go down.
There you go.
It's very interesting, though. We could do a dynasty ranking, which, I think would come into play for Mikey the most, because I think his team from a dynasty, ADP perspective is pretty hot. Some of the young guys might not be producing right away, though.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to go through, all the positions here. Like I said, these 7 teams are all very close. So, bottom up again, and you can say this for every team, but Twitter is pretty obnoxious. And when you click on, one fantasy football person, like your timeline is automatically filled with all these threads. Everybody is all over McCaffrey. I don't know if, if that's good or bad, but they just love him.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We're about to find honestly,
out. Their line is really bad. And Baker behind a bad line in a new system, I think might be a problem early. But Baker Mayfield could also throw for 330 yards and 3 touchdowns and 2 of them to McCaffrey, and they could win by 30 points. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen in that game. But anyway.
That's the same thing that Nick Chubb said earlier, right?
What's that?
Somebody asked him, like, what do they expect? In a quote today, and Nick Chubb said, he's like, well, we all know Baker, so I have no idea what to expect.
Yeah. I do know that defense is going to be gunning for him, though, because they do not like him.
And it's going to be the fucking hate. That's a hate bowl. That's a hate bowl happening there. So
yeah. All right. I think Joe and Danny need a new name since DJ's on the Live Tour. Traz boys have a solid roster at the top. I just think their depth is kind of the tiebreaker for me. Probably too high. I don't know. So I will say Glenn's team is definitely the biggest mystery to me. Like, as far as could go high, could go low. You can see they're ranked at B, so they're technically the 6th ranked team on the website. There's a bunch of players on his team like I'm not a believer in personally, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to do well. So that was a tiebreaker for me since they're my rankings. So, DJ Moore obviously is going to take Craig to places he's never been before. But, honestly, I think Craig's roster is really shaping out pretty nicely, especially compared to last year. And I think our division is probably one of the tougher ones out there because Billy Mack has assembled quite a team. He really did. So I have Billy Mack winning our division, and my division is me, Billy, Mikey, and Craig. So that also gave the Hulk Hands my number 2 ranking over Beaver Tamers. You can see Beaver Tamers with an A+ there. I think his team is probably better, just straight up 1-for-1 than Hulk Hands, but I think Hulk Hands is in a soft division now. And I think he's probably going to rack up some wins and some points early in the season. So, that was the tiebreaker for me, but I really have these 3 guys as the kind of the top tier. I would say probably me and Billy Mack are like the 2nd tier, and then kind of everyone else. That's kind of how I would break it down. And, Andrew's team, it's sick. It really is. He's probably not starting people that would be, high up on other people's rosters. I think it's the best team by far.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. All right. So there's the Big Cat rankings. So there you can see them for yourself. So interesting takes on some of these teams. If you leave yours up there, that'd be helpful for me as I go through mine here. But I really divided my rankings into as I see it, there are 3 teams that I think are pretty much a shoo-in for the playoffs. And then we have a team in number 4. So basically I have Andrew at the top. Like, obviously he's the defending champ. That's a very, very good roster, so again, he's Alabama, right? He's Alabama, right? He's the king until somebody shows me that he's not. My number 2 team, and I don't have this in playoff rankings. I have this like actual strength of the team. I have Beaver Tamers as number 2. Couple things go sideways in the Beaver Tamers versus, if Dominic beats Andrew in their 2 matchups, Dominic's going to win our division. right? Those two games, I think, are going to tell us everything that we need to know about that division. But I have, I have Cosby, then Beaver Tamers, then 3. I put you in there, Big Cat. I think that your team separates from the remainder of the league. We got Alabama, we got Georgia. You're definitely the Ohio State of that trio, where you're good and you're significantly better than the rest of the league. But I'm not convinced that you're on the level with those top 2 teams yet. My number 4 team is the Mac and Chase. Great Billy name. Well done. I agree with you there. Billy has assembled a very good team, a very good win now team. He has good young pieces. He's got a good team. Again, like, I would not be surprised to see Billy take your division. But he's a number 4. He's up there as a legit contender. My numbers 5 through 8. I'll just run them down real quick for you. I have Hulk Hands at number 5. I have Glenn and Dead Money at number 6. I have Team Traz at number 7. And I have the Lord of the Slum at number 8. I lump those guys into a group. Basically, it's the war zone where 2 out of those 4 teams are going to make the playoffs. I don't know which 2 it's going to be. Between Hulk Hands and Dead Money, somebody's going to win that division. The second place guy has a decent chance to get that wild card, but I don't know. Team Traz, I think I agree with you a little bit where their depth isn't great, but I think their top end talent is good enough to carry them to win non-division wins, and might score them enough points to get into that 6th spot. And then Lord of the Slum, I agree with you on Mike, where I feel like Mike is a team that's ascending right now, right, or trying to ascend. And then my 9 through 12, sorry to say, but the 9 through 12 teams are all looking forward to 2023. I don't think there's any realistic chance that Mapletron at 9, Darius Sanders at 10, 16 Czechoslovakians at 11, or DJ Booga Sugar at 12 have any realistic chance of making the playoffs. And if they do, they can't make any noise. So, they're already, we're already looking forward to 2023, which is fine. I'm glad to see Craig is maintaining his title as the most awkward name of fantasy franchises ever. So he's wearing the belt again. Good for him. But just three franchises that are rebuilding there. So, or actually, there's something there. So now we're in the 4th season, Big Cat. We're having an interesting phenomenon happening here. And it's happening with myself and my brother's franchises, where we are the first 2 franchises that are rebuilding, right? For myself, I won my division the first 2 years. I was a top 5 scoring team the first 2 years. I made the playoffs the first 2 years. Last year, we know the wheels came off when McCaffrey and Henry got hurt. So, but I sold off my pieces and I'm in full rebuild mode. Mike, he's the 2019 champ. He won his division once and he's made the playoffs 2 out of 3 years. And, he is in a full tear down and rebuild mode. So, tell me your thoughts about, seeing teams rebuilding versus, DJ Booga Sugar and 16 Czechoslovakians are 2 teams that they've never made the playoffs. They are still building from our initial draft to try to get up into the zone. So, talk to me about what you think rebuilding teams need to focus on here.
Yeah, it's I think you need to have an overall strategy of like what you need to rebuild and kind of figure out what you want to keep and build around. And then everything else must go. So whether you made, a run in the playoffs and now are rebuilding or just have never started, that's kind of what I focus on. Is right now I know like what is my keeper list going to look like in 2023, and how can I pack my taxi squad with guys that I don't need this year and still be competitive this year. So having a clear idea of what that looks like, I think is really important. So, and then picking the pieces that can turn things around quickly. Like Billy Mack last year, I think he traded up to get Jamar Chase, which everyone was like looking at him sideways, and was one of the best trades of the league. You get, I think that's what it's all about. That's the second part. We don't know who is going to break out, but as many chips as you can get. And if you're rebuilding, having those chips and keeping those chips, on your bench that might not be scoring and you might be losing, those are the important things. Like Deebo Samuel, that's a great example of me trading away a guy after waiting for him for so long. But you never know when stuff like that's going to happen. I tried to trade Deebo to every team in the league, and everyone told me to F off. And they might not have been wrong at the time, and he had injury issues and just never got things going. And, just 1 year like that, they changed his role, and now he's a superstar. He's making $28 million a year. So things change quickly. The more chips you can get, the better off that you are.
Yeah. So, obviously my team is one of them, but, I'll be interested to see how that rebuilding plan goes with Mike and Brian. And, I have a plan for rebuilding, and it was acquiring draft picks and high draft picks and trying to take guys that I think will have longevity and all that kind of stuff. And, I feel good about my draft. I don't feel good about 2022, right? My team is probably not going to compete in 2022, but, my goal was to try to find a team that can compete in 2023. So, it's just, the bottom part of our league thus far has been guys trying to recover from, that initial draft in the first couple of years that didn't work out in their favor for a multitude of different reasons. And now you have guys that were up top that have now torn it down to the studs, or at least that's what I've done to try to rebuild. And, then you got guys that are, like I see personally Hulk hands. I see Wallace's team as like, the silverback gorilla. That's like, Wallace still has a good team and will still probably make the playoffs. But like, I could see him in rebuild mode coming up pretty soon. But, that's the fascinating part about this league. And the draft, I think, was interesting because there was after that first round and a half, like the strategies of people were just all over the place, which is what makes it interesting, which is why this is so much fun. So anyway, I thought that caught my eye. Just, these are our first two actual real rebuilds, and there's probably going to be somebody else that's rebuilding again next year. But it'll be interesting to see if either one of us can do it, or if we're going to be stuck in the fucking doldrums for the next few years while we try to figure it out. So whatever. Let's talk games.
Yep. I'll let you tell me the order again.
Oh yeah. First up is the Alabama versus Utah State. Bill Cosby sleepers versus Darius Sanders. Not a whole lot to say here. I think we know which way this one's going to go. Should be a nice way for Andrew to start off 1-0.
One more. I'll take Bill Cosby too, but
yeah.
What Dave did late last season, I think, is also a key. He picked up Gabe Davis, well before the hype train started. I just couldn't keep him, on my roster. And towards the end of the year, that's what he was doing. He was looking for young guys that could be something. So trading draft pick, getting a draft pick back for a good player that might be older, that's an easy strategy, but kind of staying on the dynasty train throughout the year, which I think is what makes this so fun, is something you should also be keeping a lookout for. All right. What's the next game?
Dead Money, Glenn Schillinger's first game in the league versus DJ Booga Sugar. Go ahead, tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to go something like this. And, Glenn's team is basically just Bussing's team from last year. Is quite honestly fairly similar to mine. He doesn't have anybody that really like blows you away. Patterson did that for him last year. But all of his starters are decent. They're all pretty good. So like his projection this week is how a lot of his games turned out last year, and I'd say turn out this year. So yeah, I'm going to take dead money on this one.
Yeah, same here. I mean, don't forget. I mean, like this franchise that Glenn took over, they won their division last year.
Yeah, tough division too.
And went 11-3. And Bussing has put that team in the playoffs 3 out of 3 years.
Yep.
So, I agree with you that this is a dead money. DJ Book of Sugar is still not there. That starting lineup is just not good. Sorry. I love you, Danny, but it's not great. If you got to start Hayden Hurst as a second tight end, you're probably not going to.
You might be in trouble. Yep.
No offense, but even I don't have to start Hayden Hurst. And my team fucking sucks. All right, next up, we got Mapletron at Hulk Hands. You wanna just say it? I'll say it.
Yeah, Hulk Hands is gonna win this one.
Hulk Hands, there we go. No need to beat up on Mike Smith and Brian. They got a nice little rebuild going there. So good luck to them. Next up, we got Diggs hosting 16 Czechoslovakians. I know who I think is going to win this, but why don't you share with us, Big Cat?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Craig. And I'm the 23 points from DJ Moore.
Okay. No big deal. COVID survivor here. Yeah, there's no possible way. Diggs is going to fucking mop the floor with 16 Czechoslovakians. Again, like I don't hate Craig's team has improved from last year. But you're a top 3 team, so that's it. So I will put you down as picking Craig as a way to assuage your guilt over that trade. But damn it, I thought I could make it through it.
First of all, you're throwing a lot of big words at me that I don't understand, and I'm going to take that as a sign of disrespect.
All right. Yeah. Well, that's the correct response, I think, generally speaking. All right. So for our junior varsity game of the week, we have Mike Goldberg's Lord of the Slum taking on the Bill Mac and Chase. So this is an interdivisional. We're all interdivisional, by the way, this week, which is really nice. But why don't you tell us what your thoughts are here, Big Cat?
So here's the deal. I'm going to take Lord of the Slum in this game because I think the Bengals are going to lose to the Steelers in week 1. I think they're going to put up a stinker.
Oh boy, that is a bold statement.
Just because, I mean, that's what the Steelers do. I've been watching it for my whole life.
They
made the playoffs last year with one of the worst quarterbacks in the whole league. So based on that and that alone, that's my only explanation. But Billy Mac's team is sick. It really is.
Yeah, I'm sticking to my rankings and going with Mac and Chase here. Again, like Mikey's one of those teams that I think he's close, and he could get up into the playoff range for sure. But Bill is a top 4 team, and that's all there is to it for me. I think Bill's team is very good. And we'll see. We got game of the week. We got the Traz boys visiting Dominic and the Beaver Tamers. This is the only matchup this week of teams that made the playoffs last year. You believe that?
That is crazy.
No lineup set, but I know these teams well. They're both in my division. Score one for the Beaver Tamers.
Yep. His lineup this week is actually going to be particularly sick. I think I would probably give Beaver Tamers a chance to take top points home this week.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, I really, really do feel that, it's interesting. The Dynasty is like college football for me this season. Essentially, I feel like there's four teams that have a chance to win. Two of them are at the top of my division with Beaver Tamers and our defending champion, Bill Cosby Sleepers. You got the two teams in your division, the top of your division, you and Mac and Chase. If it's not one of the four of you, at least in the championship game, I'd be pretty surprised. I think my take on the league right now is that the disparity in talent is that wide between the four of you guys and everybody else. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, fuck, who knows? But it is for me like a college football scenario right now where you have your four playoff teams and then you got the rest of us fighting over who's going to play fucking NC State in the Outback Bowl. So fuck it, right?
Yeah, we'll have to pull up these our rankings the week before the playoffs and see how bad they were.
I know, it would be fascinating. Oh, by the way, in that game, who do you have? Did you have Beaver Tamers over
Beaver Tamers,
Trash,
yeah.
right? Okay. All right. Well, we got some differing picks, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
I know that my team's not good, but I got to tell you, like, I'm excited for this season. I'm still excited. We'll see, and maybe I can play the spoiler, and you never know what happens, but should be exciting. And we got a Bills game tomorrow night. They are road favorites, visiting the Super Bowl. So the defending Super Bowl champs are home dogs. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. Bills -2.5. Big Cat.
I'm all over the Bills in that game, man. I really am.
Making a irresponsible wager on the Bills tomorrow night.
I bet very small amounts of money.
Bills Big Four.
Yep.
Bills Big Four.
I'm gonna take a Bills under Big Four.
Wow.
And I'm gonna say it's gonna be a freaking laugher. I'm gonna say it's gonna be like 35-7.
Wow. Woo! That gave me the chills right there. That just like the clairvoyant cat. All right, man. Well, there you go. There you have it. That's week one. That's what we think is going to happen. Some predictions sure to go wrong. But it'll be interesting to see how this season plays out. And I wish you all the best of luck in the wars to come.
Yep. All right, boys. Good luck this week. We'll talk to you next week.
Good luck.
Holler.